compulsively all the time. That is to say, we talk to ourselves. If I talk all the time, I don't hear what anyone else has to say. If I think all the time, that is to say, if I talk to myself all the time, I don't have anything to think about except thoughts. And therefore, I'm living entirely in the world of symbols. Therefore, if you meditate for an ulterior motive, that is to say, to improve your mind, to improve your character, to be more efficient in life, you've got your eye on the future and you are not meditating. Well, meditation, when correctly done, has nothing to do with all that. It's a kind of digging the present. It's a kind of grooving with the eternal now. The place where it's at is simply here and now. If you simply close your eyes and allow yourself to hear all the sounds that are going on around you, just listen to the general hum and buzz of the world as if you were listening to music. Don't try to identify the sounds you're hearing. Don't put names on them. Simply allow them to play with your eardrums. It's all just sound. And if I am talking to you right now when you're doing this, don't try to make any sense out of what I'm saying, because your brain will take care of that automatically. You don't have to try to understand anything. As you hear sounds coming up in your head, thoughts, you simply listen to them as part of the general noise going on, just as you would be listening to the sound of my voice, or just as you would be listening to cars going by or to birds chattering outside the window. So look at your own thoughts as just noises. And soon you will find that the so-called outside world and the so-called inside world come together. They are a happening. Your thoughts are a happening, just like the sounds going on outside. And everything is simply a happening, and all you're doing is watching it. It's all just sound. The place where it's at is simply here and now.
Okay, what is going on today, guys? Evan Aldo here. So I've been trying to short this market. Here's one of the trades that I've been in, and some nice profits. I'm not telling you, oops, where I'm going to take the first profits. It may be earlier, depending. I'll let you guys know in the Discord. But yeah, most of that move is obviously over. And I was posting about it. I was talking about it. It was, especially with the bear div on the daily, it was indicative of coming down. Obviously, this is based on a milestone. That milestone is unemployment hitting 4%, which is not a crazy large number for unemployment. I don't think you really, if we let's just look at unemployment first to see, what we normally see when we do enter recessions. People do count COVID as a recession. They just printed money to bring it down. But, when was a recession really, I believe, 03, that was kind of, you were in a recession there, then you were kind of coming out of it on the way down in 04, 5%. So you could probably go up to, I would argue probably 5%, without a recession, probably those areas. Up to 5%. So it's going to take time before we really get into that recession. If we are going to, it could be a little bit longer. It could take a little bit longer, but I would say it's good. Obviously, unemployment going up is good for the Fed potentially cutting rates. And if we look at the 30-year right now, 30-year yield. I'm just curious to see if that's reacted at all. That's actually up, surprisingly weird. You would think that would be down. Maybe it takes a minute to kind of, digest that information. But this would likely, go down more as unemployment goes up and all that. So let's just see who's in the chat. What's up, Nick Hill? Jorko Pizzaverse. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's just look at Bitcoin a little bit, just to start out the technical analysis here on our Friday afternoon. And daily going to give us a bear div relatively soon. So, look, I mean, it's not looking like anything. Like I've been predicting that we'd, form a reverse head and shoulders here for the last 10 years. I mean, it's been, it still looks like you're probably going to form that reverse head and shoulders and potentially go forward. Now, the main, I guess, end of the world bearish case is going to be dependent on the monthly. And I mean, let's not sugarcoat this. I mean, this doesn't look good. But when you look at the 4-year cycle, it kind of more coincides to this area, or excuse me, where what? Oh, actually, give me 1 second. I just want to go on a bigger. It coincides more to this area in August 2016, like a summer low in 2016, rather than an actual high, right there. I mean, I think this is a little low to be a market top, just to say. I think that's a little bit low. I mean, I guess if you argue that we made a lower low here, that we for the first time ever going below a previous bull market high, then I guess you could get in the argument that the cycle's over or whatever. But I think that's very unlikely. Obviously, anything is possible, but I think it'd be very early. It doesn't really make sense. I could see us being kind of bearish until the end of the year, maybe. But really, when you look at, I mean, that's the case where Biden gets annihilated probably. But when you look at historically what happens in election years, for Bitcoin, for S&P 500, for risk on assets, typically they do pretty well from July to the election, at least in the second half of that year. So my guess here, you bounce around a little bit, maybe July, and then by the end of the month, then July, August would be a slow incline back, I would think. I wouldn't really expect you to go too much below 60K or whatever. But that daily could, bring us down farther. That's what we got to, keep in mind here. So, yeah. And if we do look at... and this is generally, kind of coming up, kind of making lower or higher lows here. I mean, the main trade right now, if you're trying to, I just want to see if you're trying to, catch bottoms, the scalpers out there, what would we want to do here? Now let's put on our SR tool, which could be helpful. I mean, the main place you would be looking for is that, dotted blue line right there. If we were to, and that's, coming back up to that area, you could get a nice 1-to-1 like that, a little more in a 1-to-1. I would think, I don't know if you should take that. I've always gotten wrecked trying to catch the bottoms on trades like these. Some of them have worked out, but it could be a little bit more challenging. Could be a little bit more challenging. Same thing for ETH would be back up to that level, I would argue. And your SR, your VWAP, up to VWAP, and then stop loss below there if you were to try to take that trade. I think it's a little risky, especially on a Friday, and you could drop down farther. I mean, you absolutely could drop down farther. And we look at the same kind of, see that reverse head and shoulder situation here. That's the shoulder. If we are to form that, you're looking at potentially down to 3,100, 33 to 3,100. I would guess you could bounce around on, and that's typical of what you do see. I mean, you bounce around a little bit there, early July. later summer, you finally break upward potentially in quarter three. Yeah, in quarter three. So, and that's what the odds are for Bitcoin to make a new all-time, or excuse me, for Ethereum to make a new all-time high. Would be quarter three. There were hundreds of thousands of people watching Roaring Kitty. I watched a little bit of it. I don't know what the hell he was talking about when I watched it, but yeah, I mean, I guess he stopped streaming. Now he's back. I don't know. I mean, the sequel's always worse than the original. I mean, if you could hold like this area, I would assume you could do okay. From that wick I drew out. I mean, you could play ping pong. You could try to play ping pong. If you're gonna long, it would be right here. Your high time frames look decent. I mean, the fact that hundreds of thousands of people showed up for that damn live stream makes me think something will happen. They were halting trading for it, so I don't know. I have no clue on this, but yeah, it's tough to really. I mean, is the markets are closed now? So yeah, I don't think did S&P 500 get railed that badly? Trying to think here. Not too bad, but it probably will come down a little bit more, I would guess, maybe in that weekly. I don't know. Maybe a little bit. I could see June being a more bearish month than continuation from July onward, if I had to guess here. B. Baker, yeah. Just put some GameStop. Did it drop 40% though? I mean, that I didn't realize how freaking volatile that thing was. Just see. 60% from that high. I would, yeah, if you're trying to mess with this would be the place. You're hitting that point, just go by SR points. If you could hold here, hold 26, that'd be pretty good, I would think. Freaking GameStop. That low on ETH right there, yeah. So recovering from that, you probably get. I mean, I would guess. I mean, I would rather take the long on Bitcoin. That would make more sense. That would make a lot more sense. Because you could get that. Yeah, now you're coming up. This was the short setup I gave this morning. I did not take it, but if you guys did in Discord, it was a great setup. It worked out really well. And if you guys want to join the Discord, if you sign up to any of the links down below, deposit at least $100 in the exchanges, and open a support ticket in Discord to give you 1 free month. So check that out if you guys are interested. Oops. So yeah. Man, oh man. Let's see here. So that to there. Bear div right there. Yeah, it's a 12-hour. That's what makes it more risky. That's why I don't wanna. In a daily too. I mean, you could easily be down within the next week at $64. And if we look at funding rates, still pretty good for ETH. That's why I think it's a little premature to be taking the profit there. And then same thing on Bitcoin. These are FAIRDESK though. It's a little bit different on Bybit, I believe. But yeah. Other thing I wanted to look at. Oh shoot, what was it? What excuse me. What the hell was it? Oh. Yeah, it's right here. Hopefully, I was hoping Cardano would get up a little bit more to that 50-cent range. Pesky crypto. As long as we can confirm that 4-day, you still got a shot there. ApeCoin got annihilated. Whew. Is this down? Let's see. Probably not as bad as GameStop, but yeah. Jesus, down 19%. Everybody sold. My God. Wow. 2 weeks is what we're waiting for there. We'll see what happens here, though. This could hold. It could hold. I hope it does. It could hold. And then Mutant API Club would probably look similar. We want to hold that point. That's actually not looking terrible. We just want to hold that point there. I mean, that weekly's bad, just like an ape. The 2-week cheese. How about the 3-week? Is the 3-week giving us anything? No. Crypto.com coin. I wanted to let's take a look. Ooh, that's a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. If Bitcoin goes down to 64, 60K, you know, I'd maybe retest that area potentially. Back down there for AVAX, so it's 4th time the charm. You're losing that. I don't know if I like that. You're losing that area. You're making a lower high now. You could drop more potentially. The thing too, guys, yeah, that 2-day going down. I want to just look at Bitcoin. It's probably, yeah, not the, does ETH have it? How's a 2-day on ETH? Okay, not bad. But when you look at AVAX, there's where that 3-day is where, that's the thing. And that's a head and shoulder. I mean, if we were to break down from this area, you're looking at some not so good numbers. But I would think you would hold 20. So, yeah. Back down to those lows. Is Coinbase affected? A little bit. A little bit there. Oops. Oh, wrong one. Oh. What was the trade on? Oh, yeah, ETH. I was showing you guys, yeah. So, I mean, we're ahead on ETH. ETH is not bad. ETH is not bad. I think that's VPAD. Algo. Oh man, I have not looked at Algo in a minute. It doesn't surprise. Yeah, it's done nothing. I mean, as long as you could hold there, or really, I mean, really, we want to hold where we are right now. Looking a little freaking concerning on some of these. Looking a little concerning on some of these. Yeah, head and shoulders. Definitely gotta see what happens here. I want to see what happens. Yeah, because if you were to go back down there, I mean, if I don't know, Rio. Not too familiar with Rio, man. Realio. Yeah, it's recovering a bit. Some of these could. Yeah, hard to say. It's a little new, but it looks like you probably would retest the highs potentially there. PayPay was looking freaking bad. Yeah, that got a dump and a half. Down 25%. Yeah. I would think you'd probably at least retest this area. 409 or 509. Yeah. Curious about Shiba Inu. The thing with the Fed, too, is this obviously is going to make it more likely that they pivot earlier. And if you look at inflation metrics, they are, you know, get it coming down. Well, oil, no, but, well, no, it still generally is. We looked at GameStop. I think, I don't know, but I think it could jump up here. I think GameStop could get a nice jump here. Could definitely get a jump. And then cattle was the other inflationary metric thing. That weekly, that 2-week is bearish, yeah. It seems like bad news is kind of becoming bad news. I mean, if we do kind of come into a recession, it'll take time. I don't think they'll definitely, they will 100% not announce it before the election. But, you know, if we do go into that, then, you know, more things can come down here. Rio is an RWA. Heard good things about it. Okay. NVIDIA, can't stop NVIDIA. That weekly may stop NVIDIA though. Weekly bear div. Could be it. Could be it. I mean, you were hitting, what was the, maybe get up to that point, 1300 before. I was looking at 11, yeah. Busted right through 11. Did 2000 have a big crash? Oh yeah, other than 2000 with yeah. Let me look at that though. Let's look at the year 2000. I don't think 2000 was that bad. That was 08, obviously. Oh yeah. And that, I don't know if I'd consider that to be a big crash though. The election was in November, bro. I mean, that was down a little bit. It was down 10%. I mean, it's not really. It just kept going. You know, Bush came in and it just kept going and going and freaking, yeah. But then you recovered enough, I mean, but you were still down. I mean, that was just a bad decade in general. But we could, yeah. I mean, it's possible. I don't think we're gonna. I think if we do come down, it'll be a bearish June, and then July onward, it'll be pretty decent. That's kind of my main opinion. Other thing too is if we look at SPX versus M2, I mean, yeah, it's still freaking. She's still going. I mean, I could see that monthly bringing us down a little bit here. Criminals, Joe's been, yeah. I think they will. I mean, either rates will probably be so. Thing with rates right now, rates are tough to really predict right now. I mean, it's still the probability has kind of shifted between September and November. If they do it in November, it's going to be like 2 days after the election. That's what it's favored for right now. I could see with this unemployment data and everything that you may see a higher likelihood of September. July, it seems pretty damn unlikely. But if things really dump in June, I think it's possible. June obviously is going to be a pause. It depends what the man says, what Powell says in June. I think he would try to sound more hawkish than really needed because he wants things to come down a little bit so he could finally pivot. Because it's hard to freaking pivot when you're looking at the S&P 500 just keeping going and going and going. But when you have, now inflation's getting a little bit better by the metrics I've been looking at, then, yeah, I mean, then you have more of an excuse to be able to. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. Come back up a little bit on both of these. I don't know. Yeah, they do need a reason to pivot, yeah. The Fed will pivot quickly. I would assume you would see a pivot easily. And I mean, I don't know. What if it does this? I mean, if it does this, I don't know if that's enough down to 519. I don't think that's down enough, but something like this easily would trigger a July pivot, I would think. I mean, that's a big correction, especially with unemployment. If you were to go down like this, I don't know. You're probably looking at, if it's like this, you're probably still looking at September. If you're just going to keep going straight upward, you're looking at after election, I would think. And we'd have to reevaluate towards those times, but yeah. I mean, 30-year mortgage, I'm just curious if that's like changed at all. I mean, I generally think this would keep going down based on that 2 week, 6.99 right now. So Still high, but not as bad as your tippity top at 7.8, you know. And if we look at TLT, I would still be generally pretty bullish on, yeah. Surprising that that's rejecting from there. I think it would just keep going up, you know. Because I think the two main things that like the Fed that bases the Fed on a pivot is one, inflation data. That's obviously number one. Number two would probably be unemployment. And number three would be how the S&P 500 is doing, how Bitcoin's doing, and all that, I would guess. So yeah. Oh wait, did Matic make a lower low against Bitcoin? Looks like she did. Looks like she did. Wow. Really are getting destroyed on their Bitcoin pairs, yeah. Wow. Not too bueno right there. Jeez. Down against USD too a bit. Probably a retest of that area. Daily blood diamond. Your monthly you got blood diamond. That's already confirmed though, yeah. I don't know. These two were buy signals. This could... I would assume it would be like that, maybe. Retest 58 or something. How about Solano? Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, it's gotten a speedy recovery, but it don't look good on that 4-day. Tell you that much. How's Bitcoin on the 4-day? Probably looks atrocious. Interesting. And the monthly's the only one that's really bad. Yeah. Yeah, Solana does not look the best. BNB was, yeah, that was looking oh my, that's like the, yeah, barely affected. New all-time highs, my golly. The thing too I wanted to show you guys is Bitcoin versus Dixie, because according to this, we still have not made a new all-time high. I marked out the all-time high. We're not quite there yet. So, I mean, if you were to come down for, you know, some months or whatever, you know, you may not see that new all-time high until later. Because if we mark out let's just mark out all-time highs here to kind of show you guys. That was the all-time high there. And then that was the all-time high there. So both of these times, and if we, let's do, let's actually, hold on. Let me just lock these so we don't have no confusions. Vertical line. Okay, so there to, that was new all-time high. And then that was a new all-time high. It's right there. And this is, you know, obviously generally adjusted for inflation here. Later in okay, so it was May of 2017, and that was in the, oh, that was even past the 4-year cycle. That was the, yeah, that was the bull year. So, I mean, if we're looking at a situation like this, you would come down a bit more, and then you'd regain sometime early next year. If we look at this, it was later. So we're looking at if history repeats something later, somewhere around here at least. This is where our estimate would be. So that's what you're looking at. So, well, on the bright side, it would be unlikely to go. I mean, I was just looking at these correct. It probably would not be that bad of a correction. Like, I'm not really seeing anything under like 45. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be, if you were to come down into a lot of this year, it probably wouldn't be much below. Yeah, not too much below 50, I would think. So, yeah. It's like what's better for Biden's reelection chances to win? Is it cutting rates, or is it just having unemployment, stop going up, or is it cutting rates, or is it keeping rates paused and having the S&P 500 keep going up? I mean, what's better for your reelection chances? That's debatable. Hard to say. Shiba Inu coming down. You probably retest there at some point. Oh, here's what we want to look at. Total 3 minus Tether versus Bitcoin. This is what we want to look at. And the reason is, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, the reason is, that's a good question. Can we hold that? I don't freaking know. Hard to say here. Blood diamond back there. I mean, if things do, higher for longer for the rates, maybe September, maybe a few more months of pain for these alts. But when you recover, my golly, guys, when you recover, you recover. You know what I mean? You recover quickly. Look at that. I mean, yeah. ETH Bitcoin probably a little bit down in its Bitcoin pair, I would guess, yeah. But now getting that jump, so we'll see something. Oh, and the other thing, guys, if you want to go to, I'm going to be at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville this year, end of July, I think. End of July. You want to sign up with my link, you're going to get a 10% discount. It's a pretty good deal. Check that out. Second link down below, I think. If you want one free month in the Aldo Empire VIP Discord. If you sign up to any exchanges down below, deposit at least $100, give you one free month. So, yeah. Yeah. It's hard to say. I mean, the thing too, if you look at, I want to show you guys something that's interesting in terms of like election prediction. If you look at Polymarket, I think you could bet on crypto on this stuff if I'm not mistaken. Let's actually look at this. Okay, so Trump's got a 56% chance of winning, 34. Who the fuck thinks that, excuse the language, who the hell thinks Michelle Obama is going to, I don't know who's putting money on that. You guys are nuts if you think Michelle Obama is just going to run. But I think you could bet in crypto on this. I could be wrong. But if we look at, so U.S. election, 56% chance of Trump. So he's definitely favored right now. Republican VP nominee. Yeah, definitely going to be a man. Surprised the governor of North Dakota is not on this list. He was supposed to be number 2. Tim Scott, 25%. How do you, let me just like, does anybody know, like, what can you bet on, like when you bet on oh, okay. Okay, it's crypto, I think. It probably could be other stuff, but yeah. Okay, USDC. You could bet on. Yeah, that's pretty easy. Yeah. Okay, but the thing was, if we look at like some of the swing states now, he needs one of the Rust Belt states. They're slightly favored for Biden at the moment. So it's kind of, if we look at Michigan, slightly favored for Biden. And in Pennsylvania, presidential, oh, yeah, see. So essentially 50-50, but, you know, it's you know, what's up, Godzilla? That would be the Biden victory, I would think, if you look at the 2024 election map. Let's see here. 2024 election map. This would be the Biden victory. I was actually doing this the other day. That would be the Biden victory, these 3 states. Things could get interesting. The likely Biden states that Trump could take are New Hampshire and Minnesota. I would think he would have to take all 3 of these before he gets either of those, though. So if the Rust Belt goes blue, New Hampshire and Minnesota probably will go blue. If we look at New Hampshire, 76. I mean, that's not. Minnesota's the same, I think. It's around 75, 76 or something. 76, yeah, similar. Well, we know he's going to win Nevada. We know that. Nevada's got a very high probability. Oh, did I get it? Hold on, let's look at that again. I want to look at what Nevada is. Nevada is good, probably. Yeah, okay, 60-40. What about Arizona? Arizona's probably even higher. Yeah. Arizona, Nevada, I think Trump's got in the bag. Georgia, too. I mean, just looking at, like, Trump's going to take back these states. We know that. It's very high likelihood. The question is, will Trump be able to take back the Rust Belt? I think this election lies in the Rust Belt. It would get very weird if Trump was able to take Nebraska's 2nd district. He probably won't, though. He did take it the first time, I think. Yeah. So it is doable. It is doable, but I don't know. The poll, in terms of polls, it looks like Biden will keep that. Trump needs one of these. Most likely would be Wisconsin. That's a Trump victory. I mean, but they usually go the same, though. That's the issue. They usually go, whoever's getting one of them is probably going to get the other 2. You know what I mean? It's probably going to, I mean, yeah. I think there could have been some stuff going on in the last election. I don't think there was too much stuff going on in terms of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan. I think those legitimately are close ones. So, yeah. But we look at what we have. We let the market, we look at what we got here. we look at what's available to us. That's what we do, guys. On the Evan Aldo Show. I mean, we did come all the way down. Now, that was a big correction. I mean, look at that. 30% for ETH, and then that nice recovery. Now it's like, do we come back there? Maybe. Or we form... My guess here, guys, is we're going to form that kind of reverse head and shoulder thing. Sometime this month, you get down to those low 3s, mid to low 3s again, then you recover. That would be my kind of guess here. I think June generally is. If you're going to go from June to, or this month into, sometime in July, I think it generally is. A lot of people are sick of Trump and Biden. I mean, what are RFK's like odds of winning here? Oh wait. Oh what? Oh, okay. Oh wow. Frank Kitty being a billionaire. Less than 1% chance. Jeez. Popular vote. Republicans could win the popular vote, which is nuts. Wow. I just want to see what's the. Oh yeah. What are 2% chance? Basically nothing, but yeah. Michelle Obama's given a higher one. $10 million. Somebody bet a big pot on this. One fucker bet excuse me. Well, somebody bet one big pot on this. That ain't gonna happen. Oh, this one's good. Fed rate cut. 50-50 for September, essentially. Most likely it will be by November. So yeah. Interesting. Wow. What? Hold up. CNN is saying Trump's good. Jesus. That's pretty wild. That's interesting how they have Michigan. That is bizarre. Arizona is much more likely than Michigan. Michigan, they think, over Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Arizona? God. Well, could look. I mean, I guess you could do that, but I think it's going to be. Oh, that's in. Yeah, okay. They put undecided for the second district. Yeah, Nebraska's second. Trump's got that. Then that's where you get the tie, like I was mentioning, but that's interesting. Biden's going to win in 28. Bro, you're nuts. That's like saying Hillary would have a better chance of winning in 28. Biden's going to win in 20. Yeah. At freaking 85 years old, he's going to win. Yeah, right. I'll bet you 100 grand Biden will not be president in 2029. I will bet you $1 million Biden's not going to be president in 2029. I bet you my entire net worth. Maybe not that much, but I would rather bet Biden wouldn't be president in 29 rather than Hillary. Biden would have there would be no reason they would ever put him up at that point. Oh, what do they think for? That's a good question. No prison time. I wonder if the odds were that he would get convicted. First cat to win bill. Interesting. I feel like the thing with this is I mean, shouldn't be able to bet on that. I feel like that's scary. Solana and Live, yeah, you could bet on a lot of crap here. Wow. I think he'll get house arrest. House arrest or probation, I think. ETH. Oh, yeah, this is new. Yeah. Well, not that new, but the grayscale one for ETH. Not 2019, yeah. I don't know. Hidden that it's the same as like everything else. It's hard to say. I would guess you consolidate farther and eventually break up and keep going. That's what I would kind of guess here. I mean, makes the most sense to me. Okay, you don't even think house arrest? I think maybe they could give him some house arrest. I don't even know if they would give him that. The judge could decide, though. I mean, we know the judge doesn't like him. They're not going to put him in jail. The judge can't put him in that. That would ruin his career. He can't just put him in jail for that. But I could see house arrest potentially for a few months. It's going to be July 11th, so I could see house arrest until the election. I could see them try to pull some shit like that. Matter of national security to put a former president in prison or jail. They would have Secret Service at the prison and stuff. He would be so secluded. It's not going to happen, but I think it's not going to happen for this. But if somebody else who was a former president or Trump did something really freaking bad, like murder somebody, they would put him in jail. I don't think jail time is really a possibility for this. I think house arrest could be, but even that's kind of unlikely. I don't know. I probation maybe he'd get. I don't know. Like probation seems like the most likely scenario. Not really. Nah, I think it's just coincidental, Ray. In terms of political turn, nah, there's always gonna be. Um, he's probably going crazy with his rallies, Trump, right? I wonder where he's rallying lately. I mean, we know where he's gonna hit. Rust Belt and Arizona, Nevada. That's gonna be the main places. I don't think he really has to hit Georgia too hard. They would try not to ever put a former president in prison. It makes the country look like a circus or a banana republic. Out of state unsupervised probation. I don't even. What does the out of state part mean? Does that mean you could leave the state? I don't. Oh, could you get probation? Isn't there a probation where you can't leave the damn state or something in certain cases? I don't know. I'm not too familiar with it. Like, how does that work? Do they take your passport away or not? When you go on house arrest, do they take your passport away? How does that work? I wonder. I know they put an ankle bracelet. Oh, yeah, it's an ankle bracelet. Yeah. How bad is house arrest? I mean, I'm trying to. Didn't Martha Stewart get how? Like, who's a person that got house arrest? Martha Stewart for insider trading for a few months or something. I see how I guess it could be, kind of annoying. Yeah, I don't think they would put him in jail for a year. I don't see how that could potentially happen. I mean, it would be hilarious because that's the most ironic outcome because that's what Larry David got. I mean, because remember, Larry David. Let's just look. This probably isn't the. This is after. I'm gonna get a copyright strike or whatever for. There's okay. There's not the scene where. This was a good scene. This was a really good scene, but. Yeah, but you have to surrender a passport. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so if he lives in one state but gets charged in another, there's gonna be probation in your home state. You don't have to report. Okay, so that means you could do anything you want. You could probably even leave the country, right, Remy? I would think in that situation, could you leave the country? But it doesn't matter for Trump. He's not going to leave the country. Probably not, but. MS? I don't know what you're talking. Surrender. XRP Bitcoin. Honestly, guys, it's starting to look like some of these won't really bottom out against Bitcoin. I mean, XRP is a piece of shit, but I mean, some of these may not bottom out against Bitcoin until, until the Fed actually pivots in a few months. So I don't know if you'll get much with XRP. It'll probably do something, but yeah, it just keeps bleeding. So I wouldn't mess with it at the moment. Okay, so yeah, unsupervised probably, yeah. Most probation, though, you can't leave the state, and you have to phone in with your probation officer every so often. I think I've heard that it depends how strict your probation officer is. Sometimes it's kind of a joke. Sometimes they make you meet them in person, and it depends who you have. How strict it is. I don't know what kind of. I think I'm trying to remember like some type of crime where I knew somebody who got probation. I think somebody. I could be wrong in this, but I think I know somebody years ago that got caught with weed and had to get probation. It was in a southern state. I think it was in Georgia. That was why. I think he had to talk to his probation officer, and they drug tested him every so often or something. I think that's what it was, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I don't think he was able to leave the state. Which I don't know how. Do you guys know how long probation typically goes on for? Like how long is a probation sentence typically? I don't a year. I don't know how many. Like how long? What's the maximum probation they could give somebody? I didn't think of that. Maybe they could do something where what was it? Where he can't leave Florida. Maybe I don't know. It's tough to say. I would guess they would try to do some shit to prevent him from doing his rallies. I would kind of guess because that would put it more on even playing fields because we know Biden can't do rallies. Biden can't leave his house. You know what I mean? It's not, it's he's got arthritis in his spine. It's a rough condition. I feel for it. I mean, it's a rough condition. Better to have that when you're in your 80s though, rather than younger. But yeah. Let's see. Okay, can vary. Interesting. What's like the most you've seen it? I mean, a couple of years or something. I mean, um, mm, yeah, drug felonies. I'm trying to think. You probably were selling, I would guess, if you have. I mean, I'm not an expert on it. Like most people who get arrested for drugs are selling drugs, from what I've read and heard. Right? I mean, it probably would be unlikely you'd get felonies for drugs unless you have large quantities of it or have been selling it. Decades of okay. I didn't know it could be that long. I thought at that point you'd go to prison or something. Or do you get probation after prison a lot of times? I forget how the hell it works. Depends. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't get. I mean, the person I know, I think he was probably selling pot. That's why he ended up getting probation. I don't think, or he was caught. You have to be caught with enough where it looks like you're selling usually to get in trouble like that. 10 years probation, so you couldn't leave the country for 10 years. Essentially, that would suck. Um, yeah. Okay. Moral of the story: don't do anything stupid. Um, I mean, yeah, that would because you can't visit family in a different state. Other than that, well, was this guy stuck in one state for 10 years, or maybe there's an exception where that would get a little. I like to leave the state. Imagine 10 years. Yeah, I've never spent 10 years in one state in my whole life. um, Rami, what do you think of the system? Just curious. I mean, what you get travel pass. Okay, you just got to check in with them and stuff. They're probably not going to let you do a trip to Thailand for a month, right? You can't go to Europe or something though. You probably can't leave the country. But yeah, prison time, house arrest. House arrest, I feel like is the least. Well, probation's obviously not as bad as house arrest, but house arrest is probably like in terms of prison versus house arrest. I mean, probably depends where you live though, because most people aren't staying in a damn mansion. I mean, house arrest. How does that work if you live in a like? How do you have to get all your groceries delivered to you? How does that work? If you got that, you're in a small apartment or something. You just gotta. How do you X-ray? Can you leave? Could you go to your amenities? um, let's see. Prob says, yeah, people like to. I believe it. I think generally, I mean, from what I've read and heard and seen, kind of, it's if you have a good lawyer, if you have the money to have a really good lawyer, usually you get off, usually. Um, because the lawyers typically have relationships with the judges a lot of time, from what I've read and heard as well. So, that's kind of what, that's what I would guess here. Um, I Putting him in jail for the election, I think would help him a little bit. Putting him on probation or doing something to prevent him from doing his rallies would be what would probably hurt him the most. I would assume. It's unlikely he would get jail time. Is it likely he would get house arrest or probation? Probably 50-50. Really, probably like 30-70, honestly. Really, probably only a 30% chance. Um, oh, okay. So house arrest isn't even that bad. Okay, you could even leave a little bit. You get a couple hours a day. Yeah, so it's not even that. Is it really, like, are they really strict on that? Could you, like, hang out with your friend for a little bit? like, well, they probably monitor everywhere you are. Probably depends on how much the person who's monitoring you cares. But yeah. The thing too with the system is, like, from what I've read and heard, a lot of people who do end up in prison end up back in prison, which is kind of the sad part a lot of times. And unless it's probably some really minor thing, but um, I mean, the thing too is it is all about money. That's why, like, when they catch people for small amounts of drugs, it's so unlikely you'd end up in prison. But when you have large amounts of drugs that are worth a lot of money and you're dealing and all that shit, I mean, that's what, yeah, it's all you're taking some money from the pharmaceutical companies there. Um, okay. I would believe that. House, yeah. Wonder if it's more like that movie Disturbia where he gets house arrest for, like, punching his high school teacher in the face. Uh, Anyways, I gotta get off in a minute or two. What's up, NBF? You're a little bit late. So yeah, they kind of summarize a little bit here. I mean, I think ETH and Bitcoin, it's a similar potential trade if you want to be ballsy and take it. You're looking at VWAP probably. Trying to long up to VWAP would kind of make sense here, I think, unless we reject from that area. The same thing could be said about Bitcoin here. First felony, 18 months probation. Okay, second one was 3 years. Okay. When did you, what did you go to jail for then? Was there another one that, oh, are you talking about 3 years prison, third was 24 months? Okay. Don't they, yeah. Oh, suspend the sentence. Oh, okay. I don't think that would happen, Johnny. Doesn't your sentence start into right when, if they're gonna send it, it's gonna be before the election, I would think. Wait, that's all we then. You got that much for you probably had a large amount. You had some large amounts on you for that much shit. Well, the probation, I guess. You probably had a lot of shit on you, I would guess. Or you were in a state that was really freaking draconian on it. You were not in no California, I'll tell you that much, or Oregon, or you were in some southern state probably or something. I mean, there was probably evidence to support you were dealing, I would think. If you got 3 years in prison, I'm not sure, was that probation? If you got 3 years in prison, I think there was probably East Coast. I mean, obviously mushrooms are much more illegal than weed. I mean, it depends when. I didn't know you could. Well, I don't know. I would. You probably had a good amount on you, bro. I would have guessed you had a good amount on you, or you got really fucking unlucky. You didn't have a good lawyer at all. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this though. Um, but I mean, obviously, obviously a lot of people, you know, Remy, a lot of people do shrooms. A lot of people smoke weed. I mean, I know a ton of people that don't do that stuff all the time, and they ain't ended up on probation or in prison or getting arrested ever. So, I mean, like, not to be negative, man. Like, I could be wrong on this. I'm not an expert on this, but you were probably doing something that made you, you know, put a bullseye on your head or something for the cops to fuck with. I mean, you were doing something. I mean, you know, snitches. Okay. Oh, you were dealing and somebody snitched on you, got caught with it. I'm guessing that's usually what happens. I mean, I don't know though. Anyway, guys, I gotta get going. You know, I gotta get going pretty soon. But you were selling if you got snitched on, I would think, right? You were selling. Yeah, that's probably what happened. But how did they get caught though for weed? Shrooms are legal in Cali? I thought it was Oregon. Maybe it's Cali too. Decriminalized though, not legal, I believe. But you still can get in trouble for selling it, obviously. You know, even if it's decriminalized. But I would think it would be hard to get actual jail time. I would think you'd probably have to have a large fucking quantity of it. Yeah, decriminalized is not legal. Yeah. That just means decriminalized means if you get caught with small amounts, it's you're not going to get handcuffed. It's just a fine, a slap on the wrist the first time. Typically, you still could have to go to court sometimes, depending. Just put in jail if people small amounts. Maybe if you're dealing, bro. For small amounts, it's not. Maybe if you're dealing or if you had it, you know, I don't think that. An ounce is a lot. Ounce is, it's a good amount though, right? An ounce is not a lot. An ounce is like this big, right? Yeah, an ounce that is a lot. I mean, for one person to use an ounce, how long would it take a person to smoke an ounce of pot? That would take a long freaking time, even if you did it every damn day, all day. An ounce of pot, that would take weeks, I would think. I don't know. Anyway, guys. Too much of a drug conversation here. Well, let me just wrap this up a little bit. I got to get going in a second. But, you know, yeah, well, let's look at H bar. It looks like in the short term we may recover a little bit more for Bitcoin ETH. Oh, that's an interesting reverse head and shoulder thing. Diamond. Man, it's tough to say. You could keep going. It'd probably be stagnant and then do something, break upward or break downward. My guess is some of these could come down lower. I think you're going to have a neutral to more bearish month, and then 500 pounds is interesting. Anyway, guys, I will see you guys. Really appreciate you guys for showing up. If you want one free month in Discord, if you sign up to any links down below, Bybit, FAIRDESK, MEXC, deposit at least $100, then open a support ticket. Excuse me, with your UID, I'll give you one free month. Always appreciate if you like the video.